I'll preface by indicating that the Constitution is the soul of a nation. It is not an ordinary statute to be edited for political convenience and expedience. It is the sacred mirror of our collective identity, the keeper of our national ideals, the voice of our aspirations, and the supreme covenant that binds the people while restraining those entrusted with power. Honorable Speaker, Ma'am, I rise to reject the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026, and I reject it lock, stock, and barrel. Honorable Speaker, I do not rise to amend it. I do not rise to make it acceptable. I rise to say clearly and without an apology that this bill must just fall. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Leader of Government Business came to this House. He told us what this bill does not do. Allow me to ride on the same approach. Allow me to tell this House what this bill does not do. And then tell the nation what it actually does. First, this bill does not eliminate election toxicity. You can't dig a hole, jump in it, and blame gravity. Zimbabwe's election toxicity has never been caused by mere frequency of elections. It has been caused by the abuse of state institutions. It has been caused by the abuse of state institutions and unequal access to the media. Violence, intimidation, delayed reforms, disputed voters' roll, and partisan administration. And the situation has been exacerbated by the threat against opposition that has been treated as not legitimate citizens of this country.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Chikombo.
Madam Speaker, we are debating here by referring to state institutions that are not here. The honorable member is accusing people and non-institutions. Let him tell us which institutions.
Honorable Chikombo, do not mislead this House and do not mislead the nation. Debate the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Toxicity, violence, and genocidal acts took place during the period of 1980s when presidents were not directly elected. You do not cure a poisoned well by reducing the number of times people come to drink from it. That's a delusional relief. You rather cure it by removing the poison. Honorable Speaker, Ma'am, where is the poison located? History has answered that question again and again. Let me take you the history of this country as far as electoral issues are concerned. In 2002, Honorable Dr. Kaire Mbuyende, the then head of Namibian Observer Mission to Zimbabwe presidential election, became part of the contested African Observer record around that election. But the deeper truth was later confirmed by Justice Sis Kampempe and Justice Dikang Moseneke, two respected South African jurists sent by President Thabo Mbeki as a judicial observer mission. Their conclusion was that the 2002 could not be considered free and fair and credible. Let me also remind the House that in the same year, the then Secretary General of African National Congress, Kgalema Petrus Motlhande, and Professor Adebayo Adedeji from United Nations were sent to Zimbabwe to observe the situation in their
Honorable
report.
Chikombo, please debate the bill.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Chikombo, it's like now you are debating an election report or whatever.
Honorable Speaker, I will continue guided by your wisdom. In 2005, Professor Anna Kajamalo Tibaijuka, the United Nations Special Envoy for Human Resettlement in Zimbabwe, was sent by the United Secretary General Kofi Annan. She came to assess Operation Murambachina and other human rights associated issues. Her report spoke of action carried out in an indiscriminate and unjustified manner with indifference to human suffering. In 2008, after the election, President Thabo Mbeki, then President of South Africa, started to facilitate ahead to mediate the global political agreement because Zimbabwe's elections had become a regional crisis. In 2018, His Excellency President Kgalema Petrus Motlanthe, former President of South Africa, the Chairperson of Commission of Inquiry into 1st August post-election violence, had to confront the painful truth that citizens had been shot in streets after an election. In 2023, His Excellency Dr. Nevas Sakwila Mumba, former President of the Republic of Zambia, head of SADC Electoral Observer Mission, again told Zimbabwe that aspects of our election fell short of the Constitution, the Electoral Act and SADC democratic principles. His mission spoke of access to the voters' roll, impartial state-owned media, transparency in voter materials, and inclusivity in the electoral process. Honorable Speaker, from Buyende to Kampepe, from Kampepe to Moseneke, from Moseneke to Adedoji Professor, from Tibaijuka to Thabo Mbeki, from Motlanthe to Nevasi Sakwila Mumba, Zimbabwe has been handed the same message again and again. What is this message that has been consistent? The message has been always to say, reform the state, level the electoral field, respect the citizens, and stop treating every election as a war against opposition. So let us not insult the people by pretending that 7-year term will remove toxicity. Toxicity is not removed by extending power. Toxicity is removed by reforming power. Second, this bill does not implement.
Point of order, Honorable Chikombo. Point of order, Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I just want it for the record that the Honorable Member corrects that in 2018 it was post-election violence, where a particular party, having lost the presidential election, refused to accept the result. That is the fact on the ground. It had nothing to do with any election. They had lost an election, a presidential, and won in Harare.
We always lose those elections.
So,
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Chikombo, do not continue to mislead the nation in this house. Debate the bill, Honorable Chikombo.
Honorable Speaker.
Not to mislead this house.
Honorable Speaker, from the beginning, Honorable Speaker, I've been guided by your wisdom. Second, the bill does not implement electoral reform. It reverses electoral reform. How? I will explain. Instead of strengthening the independence of ZEC, it strips ZEC of core electoral functions by moving voter registration and voters' roll management to the Registrar General, while also taking delimitation away from ZEC and placing it under a body. Honorable Speaker, that is not a reform. The voters' roll is the heart of any election. Delimitation determines the weight and value of every vote.
point of order.
Order, Honorable Chikombo.
But what is this, honestly? What is this? What is this?
Point of order.
Huh?
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister must respond once.
Point of order.
Minister ndiye mwenyewe bili. No responda kamwe. But ku respond every point. Doesn't make sense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the honorable member must state facts as they are. Madam Speaker, you were in the last parliament, and the issue of the voters' roll, for us to include it, it came from the opposition. And if he has yet a change of heart, he must first of all acknowledge that it's them who indicated that they want the voters' roll to go back to the Registrar General. And evidence is there in the answer, Madam Speaker. So the honorable member must own up to what they suggested to us. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Proceed.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. As usual, I will stand guided by your wisdom. If those functions are removed from an independent electoral commission and placed closer to executive control structures, then the election is compromised before the first ballot is cast. Zimbabwe has walked this road before. We cannot return to the era where the voters' roll was associated with the Registrar General's office under Tobayiwa Mudenda. We do not want another Mudendaistic moments of electoral gymnastics. We want an independent electoral system that the people of Zimbabwe can trust. Third, this bill does not entrench universal suffrage. Universal suffrage means the people must directly choose those who govern them. This bill does the opposite. It takes away the citizen's direct right to elect presidents and that power, and hence that power to parliament. A president must seek a mandate from the people, not from political elites. Once the head of state is chosen indirectly, the ordinary voter is pushed to the margins of democracy. The vendor in Mutuape to Bait Bridge, the teacher in Musimbakwari in Kariba, the nurse in Glenora Rutsanana Clinic, the student in Bidiri in Buhera, the miner in Wandamakara Mtoko, and the unemployed graduate in Filabusi all deserve to vote directly for the president of this republic. I speak here as a son of a poor peasant farmer in Buhera, and I speak here as a legislator representing Glenora. I also speak here as a lawyer. As a lawyer, I say, I strongly believe that no amount of political chemotherapy can cure this political cancer without resorting to serious reforms. Fourth, this bill does not heal the nation. How can it heal the nation when it weakens institutions meant to protect memory, justice, gender equality, and reconciliation? A country with our history should be strengthening peace and reconciliation, not folding such functions into broader institutions as if wounds have disappeared. Zimbabwe has not healed from the past violence. Zimbabwe has not healed from electoral trauma. Zimbabwe has not healed from Gukura Hund Mramba Trina 2008, 1st August, or the endless criminalization of dissent. A nation that has not healed.
Madam Speaker.
Point of order.
Point of order, Madam.
Point of order, Madam.
Madam Speaker, I want to beg that the honorable member must not mislead the House. The Peace and Reconciliation Commission was abolished by the operation of the law. It's not this amendment that is removing it.
Point of order. This is fresh debate, Madam Speaker.
That we are removing.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. This is now a fresh debate.
He has already debated.
Yes, already debated.
You debated, Honorable. Sit down and listen.
Honorable, I told you before that you must not continue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand guided by your wisdom. I stand guided by your wisdom. I am much indebted. Honorable Speaker, let me say what this bill actually does. It extends political tenure from 5 years to 7 years. It removes direct presidential elections. If you allow this to happen, will be serving divorce papers against against democracy. It transfers power away from citizens and towards political elites.
You are left with 5 minutes.
Thank you, I'm guided by your wisdom. It is centralized power. Zimbabwe is a democracy and not a bureaucracy. It weakens independent constitutional safeguards. It tells the people that their vote is dangerous, but the comfort of incumbents is sacred. This is not a reform bill. It is a plutocracy entrenchment. It is not a stability bill. It is not a development bill. It is a power retention bill. In summation, Mr. Speaker, Zimbabwe does not need fewer elections. Zimbabwe needs better elections. Zimbabwe does not need a constitutional bend around individuals. Zimbabwe needs leaders who bow before the Constitution. Leaders must be able to supplicate before institutions and the Constitution. This proposal will take Zimbabwe nowhere, because indirect election of a president is not something a nation wakes up and imposes overnight. Where it exists, as in South Africa, it is clearly constitutionalized, politically understood, and validated by the people through an in-service electoral system. I will conclude by saying we have more time when you go clause by clause, where we'll be able to dissect clause 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, and section 328, especially subsection 1, on the definition clause on term limits, which I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Are you looking to start or grow your business in South Africa as a foreign national? Education, Research and Development Consultancy makes it simple and stress-free. From company registration with CIPC to opening your business account, filing your taxes with SARS, and handling your annual returns, they got you covered. Local or international, ERDC handles everything so you can focus on what matters most, growing your business. Ready to get started? Contact or WhatsApp the admin at 0027 73 302 1868. 0027 73 302 1868. You can also email the admin at owen.erdc@gmail.com. owen.erdc@gmail.com.